In a time of ancient kingdoms and forgotten prophecies, the Shumba kingdom stood on the brink of war. The mountain and the valley tribes, once united, were torn apart by generations of conflict and mistrust. But when a prophecy spoke of a warrior born of both tribes who would bring peace, the hopes of the kingdom rested on the shoulders of a young man, Kofi, and a healer, Amani. The kingdom of Shumba was a peaceful place where strong and wise kings and queens ruled. The mountain tribe, living in the high mountains, were known for their strength and bravery. The river tribe, living in the fertile valleys, were skilled in healing and farming. For a long time, the two tribes lived peacefully, but as time passed, they began to distrust each other. Their rivalry grew, and soon they were enemies. There was a prophecy, a special message from the past, that said a child would one day unite the tribes and bring peace to the kingdom. Early one morning, Kofi, a young warrior from the mountain tribe, started his day as usual. He always wake up early to sharpen his spear by the fire, just like his father Kwame has taught him. Kwame was the greatest warrior in the tribe, respected by everyone. He had led the tribe to many victories, but he also wanted peace. Sadly, Kwame died in battle when Kofi was still a boy, leaving Kofi to carry on his legacy. Kofi wanted to be like his father, but it wasn't easy. His father's memory was both a guiding light and a heavy shadow. While his father had tried to bring peace between the tribes, war had taken his life. Now, Kofi was torn between his father's warrior spirit and his own desire for peace. As Kofi walked, his mother, Nia, came to him. She had a strong face, showing the strength of a woman who has raised a son alone in tribe that honors warriors above all else. Kofi, be careful today, she said with worry in her voice. The elders are talking about unrest in the valley. The river tribe is growing uneasy. Kofi nodded, but his thoughts were elsewhere. He was planning to meet Amani, a healer from the river tribe, in secret. Amani was more than just a healer. She was a symbol of hope. She had earned the respect of her people with her wisdom and kindness, but her love for Kofi, a warrior from the enemy tribe, was a dangerous secret. In the valley, Amani was also starting her day. She walked through her village, collecting herbs to heal the sick. The villagers greeted her warmly, but there was fear in their eyes. The river tribe had always been wary of the mountain tribe, and growing tension made them even more anxious. The prophecy that was once just a story now seemed like a real threat. By noon, Kofi and Amani met in their secret place, a quiet spot where the mountains met the river. It was a place of peace, far from the worries of their tribes. Here, they could dream of a future where their love wasn't forbidden. Kofi, we can't keep meeting like this, Amani said with concern. If our people find out, they won't understand. Kofi took her hand, strong and reassuring. Amani, I don't care what they think. I know we are meant to be together. But you are right. The tension is growing. We need to be careful. They spent the afternoon talking about their hopes and fears. But as the sun began to set, they knew it was time to return to their people. Their love was strong, but the prophecies hung over them like a dark cloud. The next day, Kofi was called to a meeting with the elders of his tribe. The leader of the mountain tribe had gathered to discuss the growing unrest. The neighboring tribes were becoming more aggressive and the threat of war was real. Kofi's uncle, Jabari, was one of the most respected elders. He had fought alongside Kwame and was known for his belief in the strength of the tribe. He began the meeting with a serious tone. "We must prepare for war," Jabari said firmly. "The river tribe is weak and we cannot trust them. It is time to strengthen our defenses." Kofi listened, his heart heavy. He knew that if war came, it would tear the kingdom apart. And what about Amani? How could he fight against the people she loved? The thought was unbearable, but he remained silent, knowing that speaking out would raise suspicion. The elders debated for hours, their voices rising and falling. Some argued for immediate action, while others, like Edda Zuberi, urged caution. "War is not the answer," Zuberi said calmly. "The prophecies speak of unity, not destruction. We must find another way." But Jabari was adamant. "The river tribes cannot be trusted. They are weak. We must strike first." Kofi's mind raced. He thought of his father, who had tried to bring peace, but he also knew that his father had failed and died in battle. As the meeting dragged on, Kofi knew he had to act. He couldn't let the elders' decision lead to war. That night, he snuck away to meet Amani. Meanwhile, in the valley, Amani was treating a sick child. The child's mother, Zuri, a close friend to Amani, was worried. "Amani, the elders say that the mountain tribe is preparing for war. What will happen to us?" Zuri asked with fear. Amani tried to comfort her, but she couldn't shake the feeling of dread. The prophecy was coming true, and she was powerless to stop it. The burden of her love for Kofi and the knowledge of what their union could mean weighed heavily on her heart. As night fell, Amani slipped away to meet Kofi, but this time their meeting was filled with tension. Kofi told her about the elders' plan, and Amani shared the fears of her people. "We have to find a way to stop this," Kofi said desperately. "If our tribes go to war, nothing good will come out of it." Amani nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. But she knew they couldn't let the prophecy lead their people to ruin. Kofi took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm inside him. "The prophecy is real. The river tribe believe it, and they are getting ready. But if we fight, there will be nothing left for the prophecy to fulfill. We have to stop this before it's too late." The elders exchanged worried glances. Jabari frowned deeply. His face set in a stern expression. "And how do you suggest we stop it? The river tribe is already marching towards us." Amani stepped forward, her voice steady but filled with emotions. "There is another way. The prophecy said that only a child born of both tribes can save the kingdom. Kofi and I, we are meant to be together. We can unite our people through our love." A shocked silence fell over the council. The elders stared at the two young lovers, trying to understand what this meant. They had always believed in the power of their warriors, but the prophecy was also important to their people. Kofi's uncle finally spoke, his voice full of disbelief. "You, a warrior of the mountain tribe, have joined with a healer from the river's tribe. This is forbidden." "But it's the only way," Kofi insisted. "If we keep fighting, we will destroy ourselves. But if we come together and believe in the prophecy, we can save our kingdom." The elders were torn. They didn't know whether to trust in their warrior or the prophecy. The room filled with tension as they debate. Edda Zuberi finally spoke up, his voice cutting through the chaos. "We cannot ignore the prophecy. It has been with us for generations, guiding us in time of uncertainty. We must consider the possibilities that Kofi and Amani are the key to our survival." Jabari looked unconvinced, but the doubt in his mind began to show. The elder's gaze shifted between Kofi and Amani, the weight of his responsibilities pressing down on him. The council had to make a decision, and quickly. Kofi met Nahima's gaze, standing tall despite the fear and tension in the air. Because I believe in the prophecy, he said, his voice steady. And I believe that if we continue down this path, we will only bring destruction to both our tribes. But there is another way, a way that doesn't involve bloodshed. Naima's eye narrowed as she considered his words. The other elders exchanged weary glances, but there was a flicker of hope in their eyes. And what is this way you speak of? Naima asked. A union, Kofi replied, glancing at Amani, who stood beside him, her heart pounding. The prophecy speaks of a child born of both tribes who will unite the kingdom. Amani and I, we are that union. We can bring our people together, but only if we stop this war before it begins. The river tribe's elders fell silent, the weight of Kofi's words sinking in. They had all grown up hearing the prophecy, and while some had dismissed it as a legend, others had held on to it as a beacon of hope. Naima was one of those who had always believed in the power of the prophecy, but she had never imagined it would come to pass in her lifetime. And if we refuse? One of the elders asked, his voice laced with doubt. Then we will destroy ourselves, Amani said softly, stepping forward. We are stronger together than apart. But if we continue to fight, we will only bring ruin to our people. We have a chance to change the future, to create a new path for our children. But it requires us to trust each other and believe in the prophecy. Naima's gaze shifted between Kofi and Amani, the weight of her years heavy on her shoulders. She had seen too much death, too much suffering. The thought of more bloodshed, of more lives lost, was almost too much to bear. And yet, the idea of trusting a warrior from the mountain tribe, a tribe that had been their enemies for so long, was difficult to accept. But as she looked into the eyes of the young lovers, she saw something she didn't see in years. A hope that transcended the boundaries of their tribes. A hope that spoke of a future where their children would live in peace. Naima finally nodded, her decision made. We will not fight, she declared, her voice strong and clear. We will trust in the prophecy and in the union of these two young people. Let it be known that river tribes seek peace. A ripple of shock and belief passed through the gathered elders. The warriors, who had been ready themselves for battle, slowly began to lower their weapons. The tension in the air eased, replaced by caution and sense of optimism. Kofi and Amani exchanged a look of gratitude and love, knowing that their decision had changed the course of history. But they also knew that their journey was far from over. They would still have to convince the mountain tribe to lay down their arms. Kofi and Amani returned to mountain tribe's stronghold, their hearts heavy with knowledge of what lay ahead. The river tribe's decision to seek peace was a monumental first step, but they knew that convincing the mountain tribe would be even more challenging. When they arrived, they were met with suspicion and anger. The warriors of the mountain tribe were prepared for war, their blood boiling with anticipations of battle. Jabari, Kofi's uncle, stood at the forefront, his eyes filled with a fierce determination. Kofi, what have you done? Jabari demanded, his voice thunderous. You consult with the enemy, and now you bring their lies to our doorstep? Kofi took a deep breath, his resolve unshaken. Uncle, the river tribe has agreed to peace. They believe in the prophecy, and so should we. If we continue on this path, we will only bring destruction to our people. Jabari's face twisted with anger. And you expect us to trust them? After all these years of fighting, you want us to lay down our weapon and believe in a prophecy? You are a fool, Kofi. A fool who had been blinded by love. Kofi stood firm, his voice calm but filled with conviction. I am not blinded by love, uncle. I am guided by it. Love is the only thing that can save us now. The prophecy speaks of a child who will unite the tribes. And that child can only come from a union like ours. We have a chance to end this conflict, to create a future where our children don't have to grow up in fear. But it requires us to trust each other, to put down our weapons, and to believe in something greater than ours. The mountain tribe warrior and the elder listened in silence, torn between loyalty to their people and the hope that Kofi's word inspired. Jabari, however, was not easily swayed. You speak of peace, but you forget who we are, Jabari said, his voice cool. We are warriors. We do not bow to our enemies, we conquer them. The river tribes are weak and we are strong. We will not be swayed by words of a love-struck youth. Kofi's heart sank as he realized that his uncle would not be easily convinced. But before he could respond, Elder Zuberi stepped forward, his voice filled with the wisdom of years. Jabari, we have fought for so long that we have forgotten what it means to live in peace, Zuberi said, his tone gentle but firm. We have allowed hatred to cloud our judgment, to blind us to the responsibilities of a different future. Kofi and Amani represent that future, a future where our children can live without a shadow of war. We must give them a chance. Jabari's eye flashed with anger. But Zuberi's word has struck a chord with the other elders. They began to murmur among themselves, their expressions softening as they considered the possibility of peace. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, Jabari relented. Very well, he said grudgingly. We will give peace a chance. But mark my words, Kofi. If this fails, if the river's tribe betray us, the blood will be on your hands. Kofi nodded. Relief flowed through him. Thank you, uncle. You won't regret this. 2 weeks later, the elders of both tribes gathered at the glen where Kofi and Amani had first met in secret. It was a historical moment, one that would be remembered for generations to come. The air was filled with anticipation, the tension between the tribes still palpable, but tempered by hope of a new beginning. Kofi and Amani stood before the gathered tribe, their hands clasped tightly together. Naima and Zuberi, representing the elders of both tribes, stepped forward to bless the union. Today we stand not as enemies, but as one people, Naima began, her voice strong and clear. The prophecy has guided us to this moment, and this is through the union of these two brave souls that we will find peace. Zuberi nodded in agreement. Let this union be a symbol of our commitment to a future where our children can live in harmony. Let it be a reminder that love and trust are stronger than hatred and fears. As the elder spoke, a sense of calm washed over the gathered tribes. The warriors, who had once been ready to fight, now stood side by side, their weapon lowered in gesture of peace. Kofi and Amani exchanged vows, their words filled with promise of a better future. As they sealed their union with a kiss, a cheer rose from the crowd, a sound that echoed through the mountains and valleys. The prophecy had been fulfilled, but the journey wasn't far from over. Kofi and Amani knew that the path to lasting peace would be long and difficult. There would be challenges ahead, old wounds that would take time to heal, and the new obstacles to overcome. But for the first time in generations, there was hope. Hope that the bloodline of warriors could also be bloodline of healers, of leaders who value love and unity over war and division. Hope that the kingdom of Shumba could once again be a land of peace and prosperity. Kofi and Amani looked out over their people. They knew that the future was uncertain, but they also knew that they would face it together. Hand in hand, they would lead their tribes into a new era, one where the prophecy would continue to guide them and where love would be their greatest strength. 9 months later, the prophecy child was birthed, and his name was called Amari. Amari grew up, and under his guidance, the kingdom of Shumba flourished and becomes the beacon of hope and prosperity. And so, the bloodline of warriors became the bloodline of peace, and the kingdom of Shumba was forever changed. Thank you for listening. Please tell us what you feel on the comment section.